Welcome back to another episode of the Inquisitive Mamba Podcast. This is episode 129. I hope everyone is having a great day, great night, wherever you are around the world. On tonight's show for the Inquisitive Mamba Podcast, we have our guest, and he's kind of becoming a co-host now to the Inquisitive Mamba Podcast. His name is Andrew Bing. He is a student at Howard University. It's a pleasure to have him back on the show. So much to get into on tonight's show. A little Thanksgiving recap. Andrew and I are kind of both feeling under the weather, so we're going to give it our all. A lot that has gone on in the college football landscape this past weekend with Colorado, with Travis Hunter, with Ohio State and Michigan. We will get into that to talk about for Bing with Ohio State and Michigan, the Patriots blunder against the Indianapolis Colts, my Thanksgiving recap. Some madness going on in the NFL, the game last night with the Broncos and the Cleveland Browns, the Sunday night game with the San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey getting hurt again, made of glass McCaffrey against the Bills, the snow game, the Dolphins and the Packers game this past Thursday night, the frozen tundra. Can Tua Tagovailoa ever win in cold weather football? Packers fans, a good friend of mine is a Packers fan, so I got to show some love to the Packers on tonight's episode. But without further ado, Andrew, let's get into tonight's show. So first of all, how was your weekend? How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was good. Thanks for asking. It was definitely, the food was good. It was definitely like what we talked about, hanging out with family and just having quality time. Like,
Yep.
it was a good. It was good to go to Ohio and get away from everything. And I actually ended up not going to the Ohio State game, which I'm happy I didn't because we were supposed to go, but then it was like 10 degrees outside. So we just like as a family, like we just like watched it at like a at like a bar, and then we were just it was cool too because that it still had like the football spirit. But the thing is, my sister she still went because she goes to Ohio State, so she had like student tickets, and like obviously like as a student, like you would want to go to the rivalry regardless of what's going on. But like all of us had like tickets to the game, and it was like just had to sell it because like we were gonna tailgate and all that, but it was just way too cold.
Well, so let's get into it. Let's get into Ohio State, Michigan right off the bat because we're going to talk some college football. We're going to do some college football, then we'll do some NFL, and this is what kind of how the show will be. We'll talk about the Bears and the Eberflus situation once we get into the NFL, but we got to hit it right between the eyes. Bullseye, baby. Ohio State, Michigan. What happened? I am eating my words on this because that clip got posted on TikTok of me saying, oh, there's no way they'll choke against Michigan. There's no way they'll choke against Michigan. And then they choked against Michigan. Ryan Day, Bing. This is your team, so I'm going to give you the floor for this, and I may combat you. I may come into your sentence here, however you go about it. But I need to hear Ohio State. What happened against Michigan on Saturday in the shoe?
I will say there's a lot of things that went wrong. Like number one, you would think the first thing I'm going to talk about is Ryan Day, but no. The first thing I got to talk about is the kicker, Fielding.
Oh yeah,
Fielding. He missed. We would have been up 16-13 if he would have made the two field goals that they needed to be made, and then and yes, you could say, like I said, it was cold outside, so you could say like it's a little windy and stuff, but like no, like Michigan they played spectacular. I mean, not even spectacular. They just played how they usually play. They're kind of like, they remind me, I don't know if you'll get this comparison, but they kind of remind me of the Spurs in football. Like they play a methodical game. Like they run the ball, they kind of chew the clock, they try to control the pace. Like they're not it's not a fun skilled team that you're going against. And if you don't want to say, if you want me to give a football comparison, I could say the Patriots. Like they're kind of like the Patriots. Like
except they don't have a quarterback. But I get what you're saying. The methodical aspect of it. They're not flashy. They're not going to do anything crazy over the top. They're not going to beat you with barn burner guys. They're just going to beat you ground and pound, traditional style football. I got you. Yeah. So let me ask you right off the bat. Should Ryan Day be fired if Ohio State doesn't win the national championship? Because we know the pressure is on Ryan Day now officially. If Ohio State does not win the national championship, should Ohio State move on from Ryan Day?
It's interesting you brought that fact. I feel like he should be fired regardless, but like I understand the fact that you got a bowl game and and probably going to be in the playoffs, so it wouldn't be the smartest thing to fire the coach going into
after this season. after this season, if it doesn't work out the way you want it to work out, right? Because we were having this conversation on the podcast a few weeks ago with Ryan Day and Ohio State. They have a really talented team. Can they get to the promised land? Because I was giving you shit for it a few weeks ago, but now we're sitting in the spotlight of it with Ohio State. We're going to see who they'll play on Sunday. They'll be in the college football rankings when it comes out tonight. But if Ohio State does not get to the promised land, if they don't fulfill their destiny and get to Atlanta on January 20th against whatever team, or let's just say Ohio State doesn't make, or they make it there and they lose, do they move on from Ryan Day?
I think because of this loss, like I don't see any team like given their talent. I don't see any team in the college football playoffs like really beating them. But the fact of the matter is they're not going to be home. Probably have any home field advantage because of that loss, and that might hurt them. So that might play a part. And it's like, but I definitely think when it comes talent to talent, like yes, they. Like the Oregon and Michigan losses might be the best thing to come to them because those are two teams that they didn't believe should have beat them. Two teams in the Big Ten that they didn't want to beat, and they wanted that rematch against Oregon. So the fact that it's being ripped away, that will give them even hungrier to try to make it to the national championship, so they can see ideally Oregon again or whoever's like that top dog in the national championship. But like the only team I was gonna say that I feel like only teams I was gonna say that they would maybe be scared of are teams like outside of the Big Ten, to be honest, because like it seems like a lot of the Big Ten teams have been giving them trouble this year. Like even like I mean like yes, Indiana they destroyed them, but like the Penn State game, like in the first half, like Will Howard threw a pick six and like he almost cost that game. Like if they would have lost to Penn State, they wouldn't even be in the playoff conversation.
So I'm going to bring this up here, and we've had this conversation about Ryan Day. You have lost to Michigan 4 times in a row now. I think it is time for the Ohio State Buckeyes to move on from Ryan Day. We've seen the Ryan Day experiment. We know what he brings to the table. His players, shit, something happened. Sorry. We know Ohio State is a very talented team as a whole. But if you cannot beat Michigan, who that is your arch rival every single year, even with the new landscape of the Big Ten, with Oregon joining, with Washington joining, and USC joining, and UCLA joining, and you still can't beat Michigan on the game that you're supposed to, in a year that you're supposed to beat Michigan, and you can't beat them, with all the talent you have on the field, Jeremiah Smith, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, if you want to throw Will Howard in there, Denzel Burke, Caleb Downs, you went out and got Caleb Downs from Alabama. You basically paid him to come to your team and all the other talent you have on the team, and you can't beat Michigan? I know your kicker missed 3 field goals, but you brought in Will Howard from Kansas State, who was he transfer portaled himself to USC, and then he he removed himself from USC, and now he's with Ohio State in the offseason. It was like, oh, Will Howard. Well, now you're here, and you're going to get in the playoffs. But if it does not work out the way you want it to, if Ryan Day and Ohio State, the Buckeyes, if they do not make the college football championship on January 20th in Atlanta versus whoever team they play, or when they get there and they lose, you got to let him go. Or if Ohio State loses in the first round of the playoffs, or they lay an egg, he's got to go. I saw his buyout. I think here it's $37.3 million for them to buy out Ryan Day. Now, the other side of the coin here too, Bing, is with Ryan Day. Who are you going to go get on the open market? Who are you going to get to bring it? Well, it's Ohio State. They're one of the biggest programs in all of sports aside from college football. They have the money. They have the NIL. They have the boosters. They can get whoever they want realistically. So if Ryan Day, I don't think it's going to work out with him. I don't think they're going to fire him. They should fire him. It's always good for, fresh blood, change of scenery. Every kid wants to go to Ohio State. It's like the Yankees. Everyone wants to play for Alabama now. Everyone wants to play for Ohio State. All these big Texas, all these big programs with NIL now. You got to move on from Ryan Day. You can find somebody else that can actually get the job done. Go ahead.
I will say, though, I'm surprised you mentioned Will Howard, because Will Howard was one of the key reasons that they lost that game too. He played terrible. And
I know.
And he has, and in all these big games that they had, like the only big game that they had, he looked bad he didn't look bad in the Oregon game, but he was a key reason that they lost to that ending play. But then the Penn State game, like I said, the pick six, like only ranked game that he really showed out and was the Indiana game, but it's like we all knew Indiana was kind of frauds. And but if you don't want to blame Will Howard, you definitely got to blame Chip Kelly. Like I don't think Chip
He's
Kelly.
the offensive coordinator. Absolutely.
I don't think he's someone that's really fit for Ohio State's offense. I feel like his play calling just was like really poor. I get it was windy and he was really trying to build the run game. But when you have some of the most talented receivers in the country, like you got the best
like
receiving
Buka
core.
and Jeremiah Smith, absolutely, yes.
And like even I was watching reactions to it, and I was thinking the same thing. What these reactors were saying was that he just kept throwing checkdowns. Like it was like it reminded me of the Chargers offense, like not this year, but the Chargers offense when they had Brandon Staley.
It almost reminds me of how Ohio State wanted to play this past game against Michigan. They tried to out-physical them. You're not going to out-physical Michigan. We know the culture that they've built there with Harbaugh, and now Sharon Moore took over. They are a physical football team. They are going to ground and pound, beat you down. You have to beat them with the talent that you have, that you went out and made sure you had for this season. And, oh my gosh, Ohio State, they're loaded. They're loaded. They're loaded. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Ohio State's trash. No, they lost to Michigan. It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. But in that game, you are not supposed to lose that game. You have all the talent that we've seen. And like you said, the play calling was very skeptical at times. And I didn't see a lot of stuff to Jeremiah Smith. I don't know. It was a weird loss. Hats off to Michigan, though. Big Blue. Fourth straight win against Ohio State. You got to give them credit. Got to give credit where credit's due. They deserve to win that game. Good way for them to cap off their regular season. But we're going to move on here to flag planting. Should flag planting be banned in college football? Because we saw this past weekend, Florida State. We saw Ohio State, Michigan, the pepper spray and the players after the game. NC State, North Carolina. There was a ton of them. So should it be banned?
I was gonna say, which is actually interesting that I don't know if you heard about it, but like a lot of people were a lot of Michigan or just fans in general, they were kind of upset with like how Gus Johnson, how he called the fight after, because it seemed like he was being I guess they said he's from Detroit, and it's like and he was kind of being more biased towards Ohio State, which I mean they are home, and yes he was. I kind of was hearing like the bias, like when Jack Sawyer got the pick, he was like, "Oh my gosh, Jack Sawyer, the hero!" But after when the fight was going on, like he was saying, it was disgusting that the fact that Michigan won, they should just go on about their day. Like, why are they planting a flag? And people disagree with him saying that, but said that Ohio State shouldn't be sorry and mad. Like they should just win the game if they don't want that to happen. But
I feel
like, but I will say that it's still I don't think it should be allowed if this is what it's going to get to, because that's how it was back in the day. Like, but it would turn into fights,
right? But rivalries are built upon this, aren't they? Though, like this is how you have narratives. This is how you have hate. My team versus your team. This is how teams hate each other. You can't. I don't think you can take away flag planting, because that takes away from the rivalry aspect. That takes away from the fan aspect, like the love of the game. And now I know you don't want to get the players hurt and you don't want fights and stuff, but the other team should be able to handle it, because Michigan came into Ohio State and they won. If the roles were reversed, Ohio State would have done the same thing to Michigan. Same thing with Florida and Florida State. Florida came in to Tallahassee, Doak Campbell Stadium this past weekend, and they punked FSU. You did it to us last year. You took our turf. So now it's our turn. If the role, so it's like, I don't see an issue with coming into somebody's stadium, or if the other team comes in, this has been going on for years in college football. All of a sudden we want to ban it.
Okay, but you got to remember something similar happened in the NFL. Like people started making problems or issues with the fact that like players like Juju were gritting on the Cowboys logo. Like they were saying that's disrespectful. Like you shouldn't be doing that.
If you don't want to, if you lose the game, all hell breaks loose. You lost, we won. You would do the same thing in our stadium, just like they didn't want Terrell Owens going on the star when he played for the Niners. I get exactly what you're saying, but you lost the game. You don't get a say. We won. We came into your house and we punked you. So we get the right to plant our flag. We came in here. We asserted our dominance. We won the game, right?
I mean,
win and lose.
I feel like if you're going to say that that they should have the right to do it, then you can't get mad at them for defending their turf, defending their home. Like it's
absolutely, but nobody needs to throw punches and stuff. So I mean that I'm not okay with. We don't need to be fighting and stuff, but we don't need to be suspending players for planting a flag.
Oh yeah, I agree. It shouldn't be a suspension either way. Like when when Jack Sawyer when he grabbed the flag, that was defending. Like he got rid of the problem. He did what he was supposed to do. But like that's why I think the pepper spray was definitely unnecessary. And people thought that they only sprayed the Michigan players, which it seemed like that. But when I watched the video,
no, they sprayed them both. Yeah,
they sprayed it in the air, and it was like, and it was just like. It was just more attention on Michigan because they wanted to point that narrative. But the thing is,
with my thing too, no, you're absolutely right. But my thing too about the whole flag planting thing in college football, this has been going on for years. They asked Baker Mayfield about it, and he said, no, you shouldn't take it away. This has been going on for years when Ohio State and Oklahoma and Texas, the Red River Showdown. This happened with the Ohio State one was a few years ago. I think it was more than a few years ago now. But the point here is this is going to continue to happen. And if you take away flag planting in college football, that is going to put a major effect on college football. Like it's going to take away a fun aspect of the game. It's like the same thing conversation we had about field storming and court storming. Do I think it should be banned? No, but the thing too is I don't think you're ever going to be able to stop that. There's 80,000 people rushing a field. You're not going to be able to stop it. But sticking here on the flag planting thing, you lost, we won. That's how I see it. The other team would do the exact same thing. And also too, another thing, everyone's making this a huge big deal. Players should be suspended or fined and coaches need to reprimand these players and put the hammer down. What do you expect in a rivalry game? You know exactly what's going to happen after the end of the game between Michigan and Ohio State, between Florida and Florida State, between UNC and NC State. These are in-state rivalries. This has been going on since the beginning of time. This is the reason why we have rivalries in sports. Going to the NFL, the Steelers and the Ravens, the Cowboys and the Eagles. Now the fans get crazy. Totally understand it. But this is between the players. What?
You said the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Is that not a rivalry?
No, it's been the Cowboys and the Redskins for the longest.
It's the Cowboys and the Eagles. You're not even the Redskins.
No, okay, but I'm saying the rivalry, the bad blood is the Cowboys
and the Eagles. Go look up
the longest.
What?
It's been the Cowboys and the Redskins. Look it up.
I believe you, but go look up the Cowboys and the Eagles. The fights they've had. The fans.
And look at the fights the Cowboys and the Redskins had.
I haven't seen any fights in the last year or so between Cowboys and the Commanders.
I'm talking about the Redskins, not the Commanders.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm talking about the Cowboys and the Eagles, how nasty of a rivalry that is in football, in the NFL. It's insane.
Oh, if you're talking about present, then okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you want to go back then, yeah, sure. We weren't even born then. I get what you're saying. But still, the flag planting thing with that in college football. And the Mike Norvell, Florida State's head coach, wouldn't shake Billy Napier's hand because of what happened, and he took the flag and he kind of wiped it away. What do you expect? You allowed your players last year to come into Florida and take their turf, and you didn't have any say about it, and you didn't do anything. But Jacksonville State did it a few years ago against you guys, and you were kicking your feet. You were throwing a temper tantrum then, right? Listen, it's a conversation that has to be had because it happened this past weekend. It's going to continue to happen, and if they don't ban it, then it's going to continue to happen. Maybe they'll put some rules around it, but it takes away the aspect of the sport if you want to ban flag planting.
But I agree with what people say is that it kind of takes away from the whole experience of watching rival just plant the flag if every team just starts doing it. Like when Ohio State Michigan did it, like that's when I was like,
well, that's special, right?
Yeah, I was like, okay. But then when I started seeing like 7 other teams do it, I'm like, okay,
right. Well, they see it's like a domino effect. It's like once one happens, the other's gonna happen. Well, these were rivalry games. I don't expect like Syracuse and Georgia Tech to do a flag planting thing unless the player on Syracuse or Georgia Tech wants to put his name out there. We're gonna move on from flag planting thing. I know we've definitely put our feet on the ground about flag planting, but we're gonna move on to the college football playoffs because the rankings are coming out tonight. And this might get heated. This might get controversial in the sports world. Nothing bad. Does Alabama deserve to make the playoffs? Does Ole Miss deserve to make the playoffs? Does Miami deserve to make the playoffs? Because this is a conversation that we have to have. So here we go. Do you think Alabama deserves to make the playoffs? They have 3 losses. They lost to Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and they lost to Oklahoma.
I don't think any 3-team loss should make the playoffs. That doesn't make any sense.
A 3-team loss is going to get in.
No,
three loss team.
There's so many teams that have 2 losses or below. Like
but look at the schedules that they've had, the strength of schedule compared to the SEC teams.
Well, like if we're talking about strength of schedule, remember when I texted you, Ohio State shouldn't be below Penn State or be below.
Are you talking about now? Like this upcoming week, this tonight?
Yeah, because of the fact
they lost. They have 2 losses.
But we're talking about strength of schedule. Like
but they lost 2 games, right?
Okay, but there's teams that have lost 2 games that are gonna be below Alabama, right?
So right. So do you think Alabama should make the playoffs?
If we're giving Alabama credit, then Ohio State got to get credit in the college.
We're not talking Alabama, or excuse me, Ohio State's already in. Does Alabama? Does Alabama deserve to make the playoffs?
Oh, Alabama. I don't think they deserve to make the playoffs. I think they're going to get in.
I think they're going to get in as well. And there's a difference between deserving. Just the same thing that last year we had this conversation. I had this with this whole debate between Florida State and Alabama. Should Florida State get in? Should Alabama get in? Alabama, they don't deserve to get in. They're going to get in the college football playoffs. The SEC is a huge factor in the college football playoff now that they expanded to 12 teams. And Clemson losing last weekend to South Carolina was a huge help for Alabama. Alabama also beat Georgia too. I know they lost to Oklahoma. I know they lost to Vanderbilt. And I know they lost to Tennessee. It's the SEC. It's any given Saturday. It's the toughest conference in college football. And you and I both know that. Now, Ole Miss does not deserve to make the playoffs. They lost to Kentucky, they lost to Florida, and they lost to LSU. Yes, they beat Georgia, but they don't deserve to make it. Those 3 losses, they don't deserve to make it in.
The thing is though, if Arizona State wins the
Big 12 championship. Big 12. Yeah, because Colorado's not in.
Yeah. So like if Arizona State wins the Big 12 championship, okay, that would change the aspect. That would make them one of the top 12 teams.
So I actually found this out this past weekend. There's actually a rule, or not a rule, but there's a clause where it's not like the Power 5 conferences get an automatic bid if they win their conference. Like I looked it up. You can look it up. I want you to look it up so I know exactly what it is. It's about where I think it's 4 teams will advance. It's not the Power 5. So look it up because it is a thing out there in college football. It's like even if they win their conference, they're not automatically.
I thought the Power 5 conferences they get a bye.
I'm not sure. You can look it up. However, the college football landscape here with Miami. Does Miami deserve to make the playoffs? After losing to Syracuse, Miami does not deserve to make the playoffs. We had this conversation about Miami and their defense is over. Their defense isn't very good, and Cam Ward is the only reason why they're relevant. They lost to Syracuse. They lost to Georgia Tech. Miami does not deserve to get in the playoffs. I would much rather have Alabama in the playoffs over Miami. I think Alabama is a better team than Miami. That's how I feel. I don't think South Carolina deserves to get in either because they lost to, pretty sure South Carolina lost to Ole Miss.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yes.
It's the highest 4 seeds.
Highest 4, yes,
for the conference champions. But because I remember they originally had Ohio State, like when they were the 2nd seed, like they were the 5th seed in the playoffs. Because how they do it is like the next highest seed, like in all of college football, gets like the 5th seed.
Yes, here it is. So does Ole Miss deserve to make the playoffs? They lost to Kentucky, they lost to Florida, and they lost to LSU. However, they beat Georgia and they beat South Carolina. So this is a really interesting thing what the committee is going to have to do here because you have Alabama, you have Alabama and Ole Miss. They both have 3 losses. And I don't think South Carolina is going to get in. So you have these 2 teams as well as Miami.
You don't think Miami gets in?
No, I don't think Miami gets in the playoffs. Not after losing to Syracuse this past weekend. I don't think so.
That was a close game,
but Syracuse is not that good. They're okay. They're solid.
But it's like
strength of schedule compared to Alabama and Ole Miss with the SEC teams compared to Miami. I don't think Miami's going to get in. I really don't. After that loss, if they had one loss, totally different. But in the AP poll, they bounced them out. We're going to see tonight. Now, I know we have the conference championships coming up this weekend here, and this is being recorded on Tuesday night here with the college football rankings coming out here later tonight. Miami does not deserve to make it. I'm sorry.
No. Do you think South Carolina is going to be in discussion?
They're going to be in the discussion. I don't think they're going to get in.
Okay.
Alabama beat South Carolina, so I don't think South Carolina is not going to get in. The only bubble team I think that is on the cusp, actually, Alabama.
I think South Carolina is above Clemson now, though.
South Carolina did beat Clemson. However, Clemson screwed themselves by losing to South Carolina this past weekend. They're going to play SMU this weekend in Charlotte, where they always play for the ACC championship. However, I think if you look at it between Alabama and those close SEC teams between Miami and Clemson, They would put an Alabama SEC team in. I think they would. I think Alabama should get in. Do they deserve to get in?
I mean,
I don't know,
I think
but
this goes to
they
exactly
they beat Georgia. They did lose to Tennessee, but they did beat Georgia.
I think this goes exactly what people were saying when it was a 4-team format, which was that the committee is very biased. Like they were putting,
they are
like, they were like last year, like people didn't think Alabama should have got into the playoffs.
Alabama deserved to get in the playoffs. Yes, they did.
Just because they beat Georgia.
They won their conference. They won the SEC championship when it was a 4-team playoff last year. All right, I don't want to talk about last year because we got so much to get into this year. You can call me on the phone and talk to me about Alabama from last year. The 4-team playoff last year was Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama. Those were the 4 teams that got in, and those were the 4 teams that deserved to get in. And if we would have seen Florida State get in with their 7th-string quarterback, I think it was Tate Rodemaker and Brock Glenn last year, it would have been an absolute disaster. We saw what happened against Georgia in Miami. They lost like 60-10. However, let's move on briefly here to Georgia Tech. 8 overtimes. I was texting you throughout the game. I was like falling asleep. I'm sitting there having my medicine, and I'm like falling asleep watching the game. It was a great game. Man, Georgia pulled it out of their ass. They really did. But after beating Georgia Tech, well, I was going to say we had to wait because Ohio State lost. And Georgia might move up in their rankings compared to where they were going to go down since they only beat a Georgia Tech team by 2 points. But they'll probably move up a little bit in the rankings.
I mean, yeah, like during the game, like I was saying, like Georgia just wasn't like looking the same because they were down by like.
There was 20. It was 17-0 at halftime. Georgia Tech is a good team, though. I mean, they're a feisty team.
I don't say they're a good team. I think they're a sneaky team. They're a team that
they're solid.
Like they're a team that like they beat Florida State.
Week 1 when Florida State was top 10. When they were good.
And then it's like and they've just been a team like their team. Aren't they sub 500 or like
they're 8-4? 8-4, I think they finished. Georgia Tech did. Okay. I think they finished 8-4.
They don't seem as good as their record.
7-5. 7-5.
Yeah, like okay.
Yep.
Because I was gonna say it seemed like they were a little bit over 500, which I guess they are, and I feel like that.
Yeah, because they were 7-4 before that game. Yeah. Okay. 7-5. Yep.
Yeah, they're definitely a team that's just like. I feel like they're one of those teams that is just like kind of beating some of the bad. Being a good team just to kind of get their name, get their recognition out there. Like I feel like another team, that's kind of similar to that is like they beat Florida State as well. It was
who?
I guess is it Boston College?
Yes, Boston College yes, that was earlier in the year. All right, so we got to bring this one up here into the conversation. We need to talk about this here before we get into the Heisman camp. We got to talk about Georgia and Texas, the big SEC championship. Arguably the two best. You could say Alabama and Georgia, or Alabama and Georgia, or Georgia and Texas, or Texas and Alabama. These are the 2 best teams in the SEC this year. Kudos to Texas for coming into the SEC, making the SEC championship. Beating Texas A&M this past weekend 17-7. They beat them by 10 points. It's going to be a good game. You know what? It is so hard to beat a team twice in 1 year. It really is. I know Georgia went into Texas earlier this year and they punked them back in October. It's so hard to beat a team.
Georgia's not.
It's so hard to beat a team two times in a season. Alabama beat Georgia last year in the SEC championship. Man, you know what? I want to pick Georgia because Kirby Smart's a great coach, and Steve Sarkisian was on the Alabama staff years ago, and Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck. What is it going to come down to? I got to go with Georgia in a close game. I really do. The spread, Texas is favored, but I cannot bet against Georgia, the true SEC team. And I said this earlier in the year, and this is on my podcast. This is on clips. Until Texas beats Georgia or Alabama in the SEC championship, there will not be the big dogs. So maybe this year it changes and Texas comes into the SEC and they show everyone who's boss, but I don't see it happening. I got Texas losing to Georgia in a very close game, and I got Georgia beating Texas in a close game. I think so. And now Texas is still going to get in the College Football Playoff. Georgia will as well. But the question remains is if Georgia loses to Texas this Saturday in Atlanta, does Georgia make the college football playoff with 3 losses? You lost to Texas. You did beat Texas, but you did lose to Alabama as well. So that question has to be brought up as well. But it's going to be an interesting Saturday of conference championships. I cannot wait. I've got Georgia beating Texas in a very close game. I think they will do very well at the line of scrimmage in the trenches. I think they'll get pressure on Quinn Ewers, and I think they will win the game. And I think Carson Beck shows up in a big spot. Now, I might get a lot of hate for that because Carson Beck hasn't been that good. He was pretty solid against Georgia Tech. But that's who I got. You got Texas?
Yeah, I got Texas, and I feel like they're just like Oregon. Like Oregon, they come into the.
I don't trust Quinn Ewers.
I don't trust him either. But Arch Manning has showed some.
We probably won't see a lot of Arch though.
I feel like if Quinn Ewers isn't playing up to par, then we will see.
Maybe, but we did see Arch this past weekend against A&M. Yeah, it's something. Yes, absolutely.
And that's why it would be good if Ohio State has something like that. Because
right, yeah.
Will Howard, when he's not playing up to par, who's coming in now? Devin Brown.
The experience in this game this Saturday. Carson Beck's been here before. Georgia's been here before. This is Texas's first true test in a championship type game against the big dogs. Like this, these are the big dogs of the SEC. Georgia's been the juggernaut all these past few years. Alabama's been right there as well. But until Texas can beat Georgia or Alabama, and now they're going to play Georgia, this Kirby Smart Sarkisian this weekend, I don't see it. I think this experience is going to show this weekend in Atlanta. I got Georgia as an underdog. If you're going to ever take Georgia as an underdog, take it this weekend. If you want to win some money, take Georgia as an underdog. I know Vegas has got the spread right now at -2.5. Seeing Georgia as an underdog in a game like this, I can't bet against them. I really can't. Go Dogs. Row, row, row.
Yeah.
Oregon, let's move on here. Oregon, Penn State, your neck of the woods in the Big Ten. Oregon should win this game. If you're going to take a spread, I would take Oregon -3.5. I would take Oregon -3.5.
Penn State.
But Penn State could. We never know though. Penn State could show up. We'll see.
Penn State hasn't owned the Big Ten since 2016.
It's been a long time. If only Ohio State didn't choke to Michigan and they would be playing Oregon, man, I would have loved to see those two. But however, this is what we got. We got Oregon, Penn State Saturday in Indianapolis. It's going to be a good one as well. So I got for my championship picks, I got for the Big Ten, I got Oregon winning that game. I got Georgia winning that game as well. I've got Georgia winning the game straight out. I've got Oregon winning or covering the spread -3.5. And then what's our other one? It's Arizona State, and is it BYU?
It's Arizona State
and BYU, right? I'm pretty sure it's Arizona State and BYU.
Is BYU in it? Yeah. I didn't think they were in it.
I'm pretty sure they are. It's here it is. BYU, Tulane, Army, UNLV, Boise State. Oh, excuse me, Iowa State. Okay, Iowa State, Arizona State, and then Clemson, SMU, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, Oregon. Yeah. So
SMU is a surprising team.
SMU has been rolling this year. They're a team that you don't want to play. However, if Dabo can come up in a big spot this year, because everyone's been giving him shit all year because of NIL, Dabo doesn't want to recruit, and Dabo doesn't want to use the transfer portal, and they lost South Carolina this past weekend. Put your money where your mouth is. Clemson has to win this game. But anyways, I don't know who I have winning the game. If anything, I'm not going to bet against Dabo Swinney in a spot like this. SMU has been good this past year, this season, excuse me. But I got Clemson winning that game. So I got Clemson winning that. I also got Arizona State with Dillingham. I like him, man.
Arizona State. That's why I said
I like him.
I feel like Arizona State's going to be one of those 12 teams.
Well, if they win their conference, the Big 12, I'm sure they would get in. Yeah. All right. So we got our championship picks in. You have yours. I have mine. It's going to be a fun college football.
You think weekend. Clemson gets in if they win?
Do I think Clemson will get in if they win?
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't know.
SMU definitely going to be out if they lose.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I don't know about that. That'll be really close to call. Clemson has 3 losses. Ooh, that'll be tough because they're going to look at Miami and they're also going to look at the SEC as well. If anything, Alabama wants Clemson to lose because if Clemson wins, They won their conference. You didn't win your conference. Oh man, that's going to be really tough. I don't know. I don't think they'll commit. I don't know, man. This is going to be really weird to see how this plays out. I don't know. I don't see a world where Clemson gets in. If they lose, they're 100% out. But like you said too, with SMU, if they lose, they're out as well. It's going to be interesting shakeup this weekend coming up here with these games. We're going to find out on Sunday after we'll find out with the bowl games and also with the selection. We're going to find out here tonight with this college football rankings here shortly as well. But we're going to talk about the Heisman. The regular season is officially over. You know who I want to win the Heisman. I know who you have as the Heisman. Obviously, we both know it's not Shedeur. Our finalists are going to be. It's going to be Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty has made his case. Travis Hunter has made his case, and Cam Ward has made his case. And these are your stats here for Jeanty: 312 carries, 2,288 yards, 7.3 yards per carry, 28 touchdowns, averaging 190.7 yards per game. All-purpose yards, 2,390 total yards, averaging 199.2 per game, 29 total touchdowns. And Cam Ward has got 12 games, 67.4 completion percentage, 4,123 yards, 36 touchdowns, 7 picks. He also has 4 rushing touchdowns. Now, Travis Hunter, here's everyone's golden boy here. 92 receptions for 1,152 yards, averaging 12.5 yards per catch with 14 touchdowns. 1 rushing touchdown, total touchdowns. He's got 15 in total. His defensive stats here: 32 total, 21 solo, 11 assisted, pass deflects 11, 4 picks with 65 yards, 65 return yards, and 1 forced fumble. So these are your 3 guys here. You got Cam Ward, you got Jeanty, and you got Travis Hunter. I mean, after this past weekend against Oklahoma State, Travis Hunter is the runaway favorite. Do I think Travis Hunter deserves to win the Heisman? No, I don't think he deserves to win the Heisman, because I think this has always been for as longest as I've been alive. We know quarterback's the most important position on the field. Cam Ward deserves to win the Heisman. He's not going to win it. Neither is Jeanty. Jeanty also makes a case because the only reason why Boise State is relevant is because of Jeanty. But we've had this conversation. It's a broken record at this point. We've never seen a player like this. Well, Charles Woodson did it for a short time. Champ Bailey has done it. But what Travis Hunter is doing, the impact on the field. If you take away Travis Hunter from Colorado,
Deion Sanders,
Deion as well. He didn't play in college both sides of the ball though. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it was just NFL.
NFL. But anyways, with Travis Hunter, Jeanty, and Ward, okay, it's very tough because the Heisman committee is going to make their pick. Vegas has Travis Hunter. I think it's minus 1,000 at this point. Actually, a friend of mine took Travis Hunter to win the Heisman after week 1. I had this conversation on the podcast back in September. I said, if Colorado can get themselves ranked in top 25, I think Travis Hunter wins the Heisman. It's clipped. It's recorded. Now, Travis Hunter wasn't on any boards, but I don't think he should win the Heisman. But he's going to. We know it's going to happen. It's like Ohtani. We had this conversation last week. Ohtani pitches, he bats. Travis Hunter plays both sides of the ball. But the quarterback is the most valuable position on the field. Without Cam Ward, Miami would be a probably whopping 3-9. The only reason why Miami was relevant was because of Cam Ward. We saw this past weekend with their defense against Syracuse. We've seen what their defense has been like all year long. Yes, Miami has, offensive pieces, but Cam Ward's my pick to win the Heisman. He's not going to win it, but whatever.
To be fair though, there was a time when Travis Hunter was out, like at the beginning of the season, and Colorado wasn't really playing well, and when he came back, like his impact.
But who has Colorado? Who has Colorado played though?
I mean, Colorado, they haven't really played. They haven't played.
Everyone loves to have that conversation, but who have they played?
They still brought their ranking up, and that's maybe because of
for sure, but
committee.
No, yeah, absolutely, but we know Travis Hunter's going to win it. It doesn't matter. Listen, Travis Hunter's going to win the Heisman. We're going to find out here probably. I think it's 2 weeks.
I just want to say though,
Go ahead.
That I'm surprised that I guess they did this, which is they didn't put him in the conversation for best cornerback or best receiver.
Oh, the Jim Thorpe Award.
Yeah, so I think
that was weird. That was really interesting. I'm really shocked he didn't win the Jim Thorpe Award. If he's the best corner in college football, and you're going to want to give him the Heisman, spoon feed it to him, why isn't he the Jim Thorpe Most Valuable Player award?
Maybe it's similar to like how for NFL when they do Offensive Player of the Year and MVP, like they don't give it to the same player. Like,
yeah, maybe.
That's
fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. All right, NFL. We're moving on to the NFL, and then we'll wrap up. But the NFL was crazy this past weekend. Let's go back to Thursday, and the Bears and the Lions. The Bears officially fired Matt Eberflus. Everyone was keyboard warrior on their phones when Matt Eberflus and Caleb Williams and the Bears. What were they doing? Why did they call a timeout? Timeout. Let's slow down here with that play. Okay, you're down. What is it? 3 points here in that situation there. There's 36 seconds. I'm pretty sure it's left on the clock. I have it written down on my notes, but I'm trying to remember it. Why didn't you call a timeout? I understand Caleb Williams changed the play. You've got headsets on. You can talk into his ear. Why didn't you not call a timeout? Matt Eberflus, before he was fired, he goes, here it is right here. I like what we did there when asked how she handled the closing seconds of the game. I think we handled it the right way. You're in a position with the Lions. You're in a really close game. You came back all the way from down. I think they were down 10 points at one point. Caleb Williams is playing his ass off. He's doing his razzle dazzle. And you don't call a timeout there. You have timeouts. What are you doing? I don't understand this. This is like, it was probably one of the most blundering situations I've ever seen in football. We've seen other clock minutes situations. We've seen Mike McCarthy, but this one here, Bing, what in the world? You were granted to get fired. You stood up and you were like, hey, I should be fired. Hey, put my hands up in the air. I got to fire you. Fire me right here. Just fire me because I'm going to make a really stupid decision and it's going to cost me my job. And what's even worse about it is the next or earlier before they fired him, 2 hours, he was doing the press conference getting ready for the Niners. And then 2 hours later, they fired him. They should have fired him because of that. And obviously, against your Commanders, the Hail Mary, and then that as well. I mean, that's tough. But this one here is inexcusable. You just can't let this happen. And he's been coaching for a really long time, or he's been around football. You just can't let this happen. Good for Caleb for changing the play because, obviously he didn't like what they had in the headset. Now, Caleb Williams is also a rookie. He should know what is going on with the clock. But stepping away from Caleb for a second, in the headset, I'm sure they're telling him, hey, there's a timeout. Hey, this is what's on the clock. Because now, or in NFL, you can talk in the headset. They've got mics in their helmet. So you should be able to tell them, go up to the line. Hey, check this, or take this out. Take this, timeout. Nothing. I mean, that was insane, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that, I mean, it was surprising too, like because I've seen like Tyreek Stevenson, like he's been still playing after the whole Commanders thing. Like everybody thought he was going to be gone, released, like especially his actions and stuff. And it's like, they're still using him as like a good rotational player for the defense. And it's like, even you could say like that was a defensive malfunction where they should have maybe got rid of the defensive coordinator. In this game, you could argue get rid of the offensive coordinator because of like, because when I was watching the Bears and Lions game, like I understand the Lions are a great team, but it's like, I mean, it should be no reason. Y'all have one of the most talented offenses, and every time I'm watching a Bears game, it's like they don't start getting it together till like late in the game. Like even that game when they went against the Packers, like when they lost by 1 point, like 20-19, like that game, you didn't really see much offense until late in the game. If they could play, imagine if the Bears played like the Lions. I mean, yeah, they would be they would be running the NFC North. Like they have the talent.
I think absolutely. We'll make this point here about the Bears real quick, and then we'll move on because obviously we know Matt Eberflus was fired and Thomas Brown took over as the interim head coach. But this upcoming offseason, I think the Bears need to go back to the old style school football that they were back in the 70s with William Perry, the Fridge, Walter Payton, Dick Butkus, Mike Ditka, that time frame of football for the Bears, and get yourself a hard-nosed type coach. Now, I know you want somebody, an offensive coordinator, that can sit there with Caleb Williams and help him out and help him develop and help him grow because we've seen the talent what Caleb Williams brings to the table. We know how good he is as a player. He's really, really good. I think he just needs the right coaching staff around him. Go get yourself a hard-nosed coach that's going to come in and punch everyone in the mouth like that feel because they're missing it. Eberflus. They need, Also, too, some suitors for the Bears coaching-wise. You got Ben Johnson from Detroit. I could totally see that happening. I don't know if I could see a world where Lincoln Riley comes from USC and goes to the Bears because he was with Caleb. If he wants to get out of the whole USC mess because Miller Moss just transferred, he's locked into USC. So I don't see that. But a name that could definitely spark interest, which I'm sure this is probably, it's already out in the news. Cliff Kingsbury. He was with the Commanders. Now he's with Jaden Daniels. We've seen how much he's helped Jaden Daniels in his rookie year. He was with Caleb Williams at USC. Why wouldn't wouldn't he take the job?
He's not leaving the Commanders.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. I would not be so sure about that.
If the Commanders make the playoffs, there's no reason for him to
go to
a worse team.
Because you get paid more money and you get to be a head coach again. Every coordinator in the NFL wants to be a head coach.
Okay, but he has control of the offense. Like, no.
Yeah, and he'll have control of the whole team next year, and he'll have Caleb Williams. Why wouldn't he do it?
Just to be like 3-13 and get
3-14 to be a head coach again. Yeah, every coordinator wants to be a coach again.
I don't think he. Like,
why do you think Josh McDaniels with the Patriots years ago when he left the Patriots to be the Broncos head coach?
He's just not a good head coach, and he's a mid offensive coordinator. Like I'm just
saying that it's a high possibility.
But I'm just saying, like, he had, like, the Cardinals team even had a lot of talent. Like, they had
with Kyler Murray,
Kyler Murray, James Conner, DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, Andy Isabella. They had another receiver too, but Christian Kirk as well. Yes, and then they had a good tight end as well. It's like you're absolutely right. But you don't think these coordinators are sitting there going, "I want to be a head coach again. Heck yeah, I want the power. Heck yeah, I want more money." What? That's like working on a job and you're under your boss and you're like, I want to go work at that company next door and be the manager. I got the credentials. I got the experience. I've been here for 5 years. Well, Eric Bieniemy thought he was going to be a head coach in the NFL, and
and I'm just saying he could if he he didn't get the opportunity, but Bobby Slowick in Houston with him there. You had Brandon Staley when he was with the Rams. Now you have Ben Johnson with the Lions. Now Ben Johnson's not sitting there licking his chops, going, "Man, I want to be a head coach. Man, I want to have my own. I want to have the realm." Yeah, some guys are meant to be coordinators and some guys are meant to be coaches. However,
Staley not going to be a coach again.
I could no. But I'm saying that I could totally see Cliff Kingsbury to the Bears. Honestly, you know what? Wouldn't even be a bad name. Bill Belichick. I wouldn't mind that either. That's Bill Belichick's. I think he's looming around. He's looking at the spaces. I know he's probably looking heavily on the Jaguars as well. Actually, we need to talk about that. The Trevor Lawrence Shire hit. So this morning when I woke up, I put on the news and I saw they kept replaying it. I was like, oh yeah, they're just going to keep replaying it. Should it's Al Aziz Shire is how you pronounce it, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure Al Aziz Shire. Okay, they actually pulled this up on the news as well. He had a few dirty hits in his previously when he was on the Niners, and DeMeco Ryans was his defensive coach. Is Al Aziz Shire a dirty player? Like, this is something that has to be brought up. I don't think he's a dirty player. It's football, man. I don't think he's specifically going out there and headhunting Trevor Lawrence. It looks bad. I totally understand that he apologized, but the suspension I thought was accurate. I thought he was going to get 5 games. I didn't think he was. I thought he was going to get more than 3. No, I didn't think he was going to be off the season. However, though, if he keeps this up, because the NFL keeps receipts, right? We're saying receipts, like Brian Kelly said in his press conference when they beat Oklahoma. He goes, "We'll see you guys next year, and I'm keeping the receipts in the national championship." Right. So, anyways, with this situation here with Al Aziz Shire. He had a dirty hit against Tom Brady when Brady was on the Bucs and he was on the Niners. This one here with Trevor Lawrence, they pulled up another one as well. But like they said, the NFL keeps receipts. So if he continues on this path, he will find himself out of the league. I feel like I'm like a kindergarten teacher and I'm telling the young kid, if you keep punching the other kid, you're going to get in trouble, right? Or you keep acting up, you're going to get disciplined. So if he continues on this path, he's going to find himself in a Vontaze Burfict situation. And he seems like a pretty talented player to me. They brought him over from the Niners, pretty solid linebacker. So do I think he should have been suspended 5 games, or he got suspended 3 games? I don't know. I mean, it's the NFL, man. We've seen a lot of stuff happen. I mean, but I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, reason I set out for the season, because it's like
I didn't see that
reaction. No, that's the reason I set out.
Oh, yeah,
is because of the reaction. Like afterwards, like when it's like he could have tried to, like, after he hit Trevor Lawrence, he could have tried helping him up or whatever. But then he got into it with the I think Brandon Sheriff or like someone.
Yeah, I saw that. And Evan Ingram.
And then they were like fighting, and then when he was like walking. and then when he was leaving, like he got into Brandon Sheriff, and then when he was leaving again, then he started getting into it with a fan. Like that's like out of control. Like you can't be getting into it with like everybody.
No,
like, that's unprofessional. And it's like, and he definitely should have got fined. More.
He's gonna get fined, yeah. But do you think he should have been suspended 3 games or more?
Well, I said out for the season. I feel like
he should have been out for the season.
Yes, if you react like that, like if you he
didn't take Trevor Lawrence's head off. It is football.
I mean, okay, but like Trevor Lawrence was like not moving. Like I was watching it, he was like everybody. Like all my friends thought he died. Like he was not moving. He was out conscious for like 5 minutes. Like
you go back in the day. Back in the 70s and the 80s, they used to take guys' heads off and they wouldn't even call penalties. Now, I know it's a total different NFL now, but we can't sit here and suspend a guy for the entire season because of a hit.
I don't know if you saw, but I didn't get to watch the full video, but I saw Tom Brady. He commented, he commented on his opinion on the situation and what he thinks. And I think he said,
what'd he say?
It's like a quote. He said, let me see.
All right. Well, while you pull it up here, we got to bring up the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Black Friday game. You were talking about the Black Friday game on the podcast last week. Are the Chiefs the luckiest team in the NFL? I mean, the craziest stuff has happened to the Chiefs this year. The block field goal, the bot snap, what else am I missing? The Ravens game. I mean, there's been so many, and you can say it's luck, skill, whatever. This is the craziest I've ever seen a team get in this situation like the Kansas City Chiefs. I have never seen anything like this. I mean, I don't know if they have a horseshoe up their ass or if it's Taylor Swift and that effect, or it's just the NFL wants the Chiefs to win because they just clinched their 10th straight playoff berth. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Go ahead.
Yeah,
we'll go back to the Chiefs in a second. I want to hear what Tom Brady said.
So Tom Brady, he said, if we don't want these hits to take place, we've got to penalize both the offense and defense. And which that was actually interesting because I guess for him being a pocket passer, like he's basically saying that like him and Colin Cowherd were both saying like if you decide to get out of the pocket and scramble,
it's
like,
free game.
Yeah, it's free game. Like that's on you.
Well, in the NFL too, if you're inside the tackle box, you can get horse collar down. Like if you're inside the tackle box, if you get tackled down. You can look it up. The horse collar rule QB inside the line. Here it is. Yep. No player shall grab the at the nameplate or pull the runner toward the ground. Yeah, the horse collar rule does not apply to the quarterbacks in the pocket in the NFL. Yes, because that happened to Josh Allen because they try to complain about that. Hey man, they've already in the NFL. I know we're all about player safety now and players' concussions and CTE, and we've seen players that have passed away. And rest in peace to those players. And we saw what's happened to some players. But it is football at the end of the day. You already took away the hip drop tackle. If you're going to continue to take away these rules for these players, at some point it's going to become two-hand touch. Now, Al-Aziz Shahir's hit is inexcusable on Trevor Lawrence. But going back to the Brian Branch, Bo Melton one with the Packers and the Lions a few weeks ago, we had this conversation, you and I. He should have not been ejected for that hit. It is football. These players sign up for this. They know exactly what they're getting themselves into. I sound like a broken record. They are grown men. They sign contracts year in and year out. You know what to expect. And like you said, Colin Cowherd and Tom Brady, if you do leave the pocket, it is fair game. I know your players are going to, the players in your team are going to defend you, like you said, but it is fair game. Anything can happen. I'm going to take you, if I got to take you down by your hair, you got long hair, you got dreadlocks, you got, Goldilocks, like, a lion's mane. I'm going to take your ass down and tackle you any way I can. They now in the NFL too, they have the rule where you can't hit the quarterback below the waist. If you grab the ankle, that can become a flag. We already have the roughing the passer. You can't hit the quarterback in the head. So it's like, I know we're all about player safety, but at some point we have to figure out, what is this and what is that? Is this a flag? Is this not? But we'll go back to the Chiefs here, Bing. Did you watch that Chiefs-Raiders game?
Yeah, I watched it.
They are so lucky.
I'm going to be honest. I wasn't, I already told you I wasn't looking anticipated for it, so I didn't start watching until the second half. But I think that's when the game got good, was the second half. And it was and I thought the Raiders were honestly going to shock and actually win. But
Aiden O'Connell played good, too.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, he
I don't
played
know
he
if you
played
saw what I
great.
said about that, but
No, I don't know. What did you say?
I don't know if I should say this on podcast. But
Oh, is it bad?
no, I said it. I said we just gotta start having these Aiden O'Connell and Patrick Mahomes discussions after that game.
Oh, absolutely. No, not even close. Whoa, watch your tongue there, young man. Watch your tongue, young man. Yeah, this is Yoda teaching a Jedi here. You watch that tongue. That's a fiery tongue, boy. You about to get some hot sauce up in that mouth. Anyways, the Chiefs got so lucky. I mean, I don't know what to make of the Chiefs this season. I really don't. I know they're a really good football team, and Daniel Carlson missed 3 field goals, and you can't blame the play on one game. But I don't understand it. I really don't. You beat the Raiders on a bot snap. You beat the Broncos on a blocked field goal. The Ravens game. There's other games as well with the Chiefs too. They had other games where they got lucky, basically.
Yeah,
there's other ones. I lost my there's other ones as well we've seen with the Chiefs.
They got bailed out in the Chargers game a little bit, but
Chiefs.
I think, but that's actually who they play this Sunday.
They played this Sunday night.
And you know Herbert, my guy.
Yeah.
My guy Herbert.
All right,
I feel like they.
Uh-huh.
I want to talk about the Chargers.
You think the Chargers can beat the Chiefs?
Yes, I feel like they play that Michigan offense. They can get.
It's in Kansas City though.
Oh, but they can still play that methodical offense. They can chew the clock. Like they can they can play time management. I mean, I think the Chargers, they've learned that if they want to secure a playoff spot, they need to win some of these big games, because the only big game I'll say they've really won this year was the Bengals game, and I think they might have beat the Dolphins. I don't.
Chargers played the. Did they play the? I don't think the Chargers played the Dolphins. Did they?
I know for sure they beat the Bengals, which was a big one.
Yes, that was Sunday night a few weeks ago. Yes. The Bengals had that comeback and then they lost. Yeah, Shamar Chase and T. Higgins went off. However, going back to that Chiefs Chargers this Sunday night, which is going to be another great game. The Chiefs are back on primetime, of course. The Chiefs and the Raiders. Taylor Swift was at the game, and I tweeted this, and she went like, do you remember the play with Travis Kelce, and he lateraled it to what's the running back's name? I can't think of his name now. What's the running back's name?
Isaiah Pacheco.
I don't think it was Pacheco. Anyways, when Travis Kelce lateraled the ball, and then they showed Taylor Swift, and she went like this.
Oh, you talking about Rashee Rice?
No, Rashee Rice tore his ACL, or he's out. He's basically out for the year. When they showed her in the booth like this, and she went like this, like signaling for the first down. Oh my God! All my friends, I was giving. They were like, I tweeted. I was like, this is the new first down signal in the NFL. Anyways, but no, what's up? The Chiefs are a very lucky team.
Oh, I was gonna say the Falcons was another good win the Chargers had. I feel like
the Falcons and the Chiefs played, and they didn't call the pass interference on Brian Cook at the end of the game on Kyle Pitts when he wasn't even looking at the court, when he didn't even turn his head. That's another one there. The refs have been on the Chiefs side. Nobody can say that. The Chiefs are a great team. We're not going to sit here and discredit them for that. They did lose to the Bills 2 weeks ago, but they've been really lucky. They really have. I don't know if they have a leprechaun in Patrick Mahomes' shoe, or the players are eating Lucky Charms before the game, or Andy Reid has some sort of horseshoe that they're holding. But man, they've been really lucky.
I would say they're a smart team, because like they brought back basically everybody. But it's like, but personally, like that's why I didn't think they were going to win the Super Bowl last year. Because I feel like ever since Tyreek Hill hasn't been there and Tyrann Matthew, like it's not the same like powerhouse team that you think of. Like, I mean, like Travis Kelce, he still did his thing last year, but like this year we're seeing Travis Kelce's not the same player in my opinion.
Do you think it's because of Taylor Swift?
I don't think everything's about Taylor Swift, but I think some people think he's going to retire after the season.
Do you think so? That means you think him and Taylor Swift are going to get married and have kids?
Okay.
No, do you think Travis Kelce's washed though?
I don't think he's washed, but I feel like he would definitely, like, if Travis Kelce was more like George Kittle, in my opinion, like he was someone.
He's also like older though too.
Yeah, but if he was like a blocking tight end, he was someone that was like he would think he's washed because his receiving is not up to par.
He balled out. He balled out this past game against the Raiders though. Travis Kelce does block, but I want to bring this one up here, Bing. You might think I'm crazy for saying this. I think Joe Burrow deserves to be in the MVP conversation. I know the Bengals have been terrible all year. Their defense has been bad. Their offense has been spectacular.
I think I said that.
I don't know if you said that, but I think Joe Burrow deserves to be in the MVP conversation. He's got what? He's at 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year or something like that. I mean, I know it's how it goes with quarterbacks and this and that. Yeah, Burrow's got 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Joe Burrow deserves to be in the MVP conversation. If it wasn't for Joe Burrow, the Bengals would probably be even worse than they are now, which is hard to say because they're not very good as it is. But I think the Bengals are ruining Joe Burrow because I don't know what's going on. How can your defense get that bad from last year to this year? I know they lost DJ Reader and they lost Jesse Bates 2 seasons ago, but I mean, this is insane. I mean, the Bengals can arguably still compete with anybody on a stage on a 1-game set, but it's crazy to see how bad the Bengals have been, how bad their defense has been. I mean, their offense has to put up like 30 to 35 points a game for them to come close in the game.
Well, I do remember my top 5. I had Josh Allen, Lamar,
Josh Allen, Lamar. You had Mahomes in there, didn't you?
No, I didn't have Mahomes. I said Joe Burrow,
Josh Allen,
Derrick Henry, and I think we were having. That's when we were having the Derrick Henry and Saquon.
Yeah, you were getting flamed. You've been getting flamed on TikTok saying Derrick Henry over Saquon. I think you retract your statement now.
I mean, yes, because of what happened in the game.
Well, I just think Saquon's more dynamic.
I mean, like I even said it was going to determine who was better.
Yeah, you're secretly a Ravens fan. I know.
Oh no, a lot of people think I'm the complete opposite. I'm a Ravens hater, but.
I mean, it's right in your neck of the woods. I mean, you guys played earlier this year.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, I agreed like that Saquon is a more complete player, but the thing is, I feel like Derrick Henry was that game changer for the Ravens. Like the Ravens, where people were like, oh, the Ravens might like actually do something in the AFC this year, which yes, you could say Saquon could be the same way for the Eagles, like making them even more contenders. But the only issue I feel like the Eagles really had last year was the fact that injuries, like AJ Brown was injured.
And, we had this. The Eagles fans have been going crazy in the comment section about that. Like, oh, the Eagles were going to Super Bowl, NFC contender, Super Bowl contender. I honestly don't even really want to get into that part, but we got to bring this part up here with the NFL before we officially wrap up. We're going to wrap up here shortly. The Packers and the Dolphins. I don't know what happened to the Dolphins. I don't know if it's a Mike McDaniel problem. Tua played good against the Packers, but Tua and the Dolphins, I know we like to say quarterback and the team, Tua and the Dolphins cannot win in cold weather games. Tua is 0-7 in his career in games that are lower than 45 degrees. The Dolphins are never going to win in the cold. I'm convinced. Until they make a regime change, a quarterback, a coach. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's a Mike McDaniel problem, but from the get-go, they had the muffed punt there. I don't know what is wrong with the Dolphins when it comes to cold weather games. It's like we're playing South Beach all year, and then we come into cold weather, and it's like, whoop, we turn into a total different team. It's like they put a cloak on. It's like, no, we're not the Miami Dolphins. We're the Miami Dolphins.
Well, I know what the problem is. It's always been with the Dolphins is their defense. Like even when they got Jalen Ramsey, like their defense just isn't that. And it's like their offense isn't producing this year though. Like,
their defense has been like, it was solid before this Packers game. I really don't know what happened. The Packers are a good team. They were favored to win that game. It's a cold weather game. It's weird though because the Niners went into Buffalo Sunday night and they couldn't even compare. Now those cold weather teams in these months have those advantages. The Patriots had those advantages all those years back when Brady, Gronk, and Edelman and Belichick were there, even before Gronk and Edelman, when Brady was there. It's like those cold weather games, man. It's like the warm weather teams or teams that aren't used to the cold come in. It's like the cold weather is a factor. It's like, I know we push away that narrative. It's like cold weather teams and warm weather teams come in. Oh, they can be beat. And then you see the outcome of the game and you're like, no, it's really a thing. Warm weather teams cannot beat cold weather teams in the NFL. It's insane to think about. It's like, it's weird because a lot of these players are not from Miami. They play for the Dolphins, but it's maybe because they get accustomed to the weather. And I don't know if it's softer, but they're not used to it. But it's weird because these players have played football their entire life. You sit there and you go, how do you lose in the cold weather? How do you get dominated in the cold weather? Not even lose by like a touchdown. No, you other than the Tyreek Hill tipped touchdown, you would have lost 30-10. I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't. The Dolphins, they lost to the Packers. Now they're sitting at 5-8. They're looming out on the playoffs as well. I know Tua got hurt earlier in the year, but they just can't beat. They can't win in cold weather, Andrew. I don't get it.
Yeah. I definitely think that the Dolphins, they're just like, it's just, this was a phase, like like I feel like the Tua injury hurt them, and I feel like when he came back, like it's just not the same trust. Like Tyreek Hill, like
Yep.
I feel like Tyreek Hill, even like I feel like the problem with the Dolphins too, they try to be so much like the Chiefs. It's like the fact is they try to stack up on receivers, try to have one of the amazing offense, a fun offense to play with in Madden, and then like you having that guy in the secondary, which they're like their secondary wasn't that good, and like how they had Tyrann Mathieu, they got Jalen Ramsey, like getting that star power in the secondary. But the thing is, something they never worked on was that D line, because they always had one of the worst run defenses in the league.
And they lost Christian Wilkins to the Raiders. They have Zach Sealer. They did lose Christian Wilkins, but yeah, I mean, they drafted Chuck Robinson out of Penn State, a Big Ten team, your Big Ten team you're familiar with, but I can't figure out the Dolphins. I really can't. I don't. Tua's played good since he's came back, so I don't know if it's really a Tua problem.
Also.
He's older, but yeah, I mean they have pieces as well.
And
but
Javon Holland.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your Commanders Titans game or not really? Because you guys blew them out. I don't. Is there really even anything to talk about?
I don't think anything to talk about the game, but I definitely want to say. Well, actually, there is something I want to say about the game. I want to say that I don't care what people say. This people were trying to say it's the Titans. It's the Titans. Like people don't understand that's the second ranked defense in the league. And the thing is that that shows that when Terry McLaurin actually gets the ball, when he actually gets targets, like the Washington always performs better. Like if you look at the games when he barely gets the ball, like when he barely got the ball against the Bucks, when he barely got the ball against the Giants, like barely got the ball against the Eagles, barely got the ball against. I mean, he got the ball more against the Ravens, but like it definitely could have been a closer game if they had B-Rob. Like it's just like to this game actually showed like. I mean, yes, Eckler was on IR and he's going to be on IR for like 3 weeks, and also Lattimore still hasn't played. But I'm hoping and I'm assuming that he's going to play against his former team, the Saints. But
yeah,
we'll see after the bye week. But the thing is that basically this is like the most like complete team that they could have had, because like I'd rather personally for me, I'd rather have Austin Eckler injured than B-Rob, because B-Rob is their power back. You can't replace him. They don't have any running back that can really replace him. Like Chris Rodriguez is a elusive back or someone that can catch the ball a little bit. I mean, he can't really replace Eckler, but he can replace the elusive version. Also, they got they have what's his name?
You got Brian Robinson. You got Austin Eckler, and then the other guy, I forget his name.
Yeah, they got a new running back. I've always been a fan of Christian Rodriguez, but they also the other running back, he's pretty good too. He's solid. McNichols, yeah.
Jeremy McNichols from Tennessee last year. Yeah,
he's someone that's he's someone he can like I feel like Rodriguez, Eckler, and B-Rob are the main three running backs in my opinion, but I feel like McNichols is definitely a good rotational person, like to get in the game, like when they need some yards and just to get it done. But like really, yes, like Terry needs to get the ball more, because why? There's no reason. Like every Commander fan says this, why is Noah Brown getting more targets than Terry McLaurin? Like that makes no sense. Like if like I get y'all played at Arizona State together and stuff, but like even like he throws the ball to Zach Ertz.
Oh, you mean Ohio State, right? Ohio State.
No, I'm talking about
Jaden Nielsen. Oh, Noah Brown went to Ohio State, and so did Terry.
I know Noah and Terry played together, but I thought Jaden and Noah played.
Did they
together too?
Did they play? Did they play at Arizona State together?
I thought they did, but I might be wrong. But the thing is, Jaden Daniels and Zach Ertz, like he passes Zach Ertz and Noah Brown more than Terry, to be honest, most of the time. And Zach Ertz, he is someone that can bail out, but he should not be getting a lot of targets. He's old. Terry McLaurin is the future of the offense, and they need to show that. Even Luke McCaffrey barely gets the ball. He's a rookie. Like they need to get him more involved. De'Ami Brown, like he don't really need the ball like that. I mean, he's someone you can pass on a deep threat, but I think the offense definitely has a lot of potential. Like they're set, like their old line's good now. Like that hasn't been good since they had Trent Williams and Brandon Sheriff, to be honest. So it's like this is a good old line that they finally have again, restoring the old line, something they need to do. And their defense is I don't know if you saw, but they actually released Emmanuel Forbes.
I saw that yesterday. Raiders.
Yeah, and like that's sad because I actually heard a fun fact that basically everybody that Ron Rivera drafted either got released, traded, or just like or something happened to them. But
you should have drafted Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon.
Yeah, I bet so. When you would have,
we got him.
Another draft pick I was gonna say that made me mad because my friends saw my live reaction to it. They were cracking up. Which I said at the draft when they drafted Jahan Dotson, I said the whole time when they had the 11th pick, I said please draft Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton would be the perfect pick to Washington. That would help the defense. Everything. And now it's an all-pro safety.
He got out of Notre Dame. Want to move on to my Patriots real quick, and then we'll wrap up. We saw the Eagles beat the Ravens in a close game there. Eagles were down, and then they came back, and then they beat the Ravens, the Saquon Barkley, the Eric Henry. But the Patriots, they lost to the Colts. They were winning that game, and then the Colts decided to go for a 2-point conversion. Oh, man. I mean, Drake May played his ass off again. He had 59 rushing yards. They lost 25-24. Gutsy call by the Colts, man. 2-point conversion. Wow. I mean, it was 24-17 Patriots at the end there. And then the Colts scored, tied it, and then they went for the 2-point conversion. Oh, man, I don't know. I mean, I really feel like at this point, I don't think the Patriots are going to win another game. I think they lose their next 4 games. The next game they play is the Cardinals. They play the Cardinals. They play the Chargers. They play the Bills, and they play the Bills. So I'm looking at 3-14 here, and everyone's like, oh, should they fire Gerard Mayo? We had this conversation last week. No, the Patriots shouldn't fire Gerard Mayo. It's one season. We'll see how they do this offseason. I already told you they should go get themselves a new offensive coordinator this offseason. Remains to be seen, but it was a good game from Drake May. He's actually, played really well. I know Jaden Daniels played well for the Commanders as well. He deserves to be in the Rookie of the Year conversation. He's not going to win it, of course, because the Patriots are, dumpster fire of a team this year. However, he's been the bright spot of the Patriots. But yeah, I mean, the Patriots, they lost to the Colts, and I'm a Florida guy, so it was cool to see Richardson, kind of, play decent. He had, 2 interceptions in the game, but it was a, kind of a tough game to watch. You're like, oh man, I bet on Drake May and Anthony Richardson's rushing yards to hit in the over. Are you wearing a Commander shirt right now? I think it is, right?
Yeah.
No, I noticed it. What is that? Is that Austin Eckler?
No, this is the DC. This is DC.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, other than that, for the NFL, I mean, I think that's really it. I mean, we hit on just about everything. We hit on your Commanders. We talked a little bit about my Patriots. The last thing I'll mention, though, how about them Gators, baby, beating Florida State in Tuscaloosa, in Tallahassee, 31-11. They came in there, belt to ass. There was a player actually at the end of the game. There was a highlight bing where he took the belt and he went belt to ass, baby. Florida whooped Florida State this past weekend. Little rivalry, little flag planting.
We're not even going to talk about the greatest thing.
What, Ohio State, Michigan?
No, I'm talking about the Monday Night Football.
With the Broncos and the Broncos and the Browns. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy coming back into Denver. Revenge game for him.
That was a revenge game, all right.
I know. I bet on his yard. I bet on his props. Heck yeah. The storyline of that game though was Jameis at the end of the game. I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes. Jameis on his 3 interceptions.
Yeah, but he had a lot of passing yards.
497 passing yards. 497 yards. But anyways, the Gators, though, beating Florida State 31-11, going in there was awesome. It was great to see. I have a lot of Florida State fans, a lot of UF fans. It was fun to see. I'm still waiting to see who the Gators are going to get for their bowl game, but they finished the season 7-5. I'm sure we'll find out for their bowl game this weekend. But yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't mention the celebration they did also.
The celebration, the flag planting, we already talked about it.
No, I'm talking about for the Browns and
the Broncos. What celebration?
They did
the Kai Cenat one.
Yeah.
Oh, when the Browns got the interception, when Denzel Ward got the interception. Yeah, that was an insane interception. by Denzel Ward. All right, let's hear. This is kind of a funny one. Ryan Fitzpatrick says while he was on the Dolphins, Matt Collins went to Chipotle every single day, but as soon as they started charging 25 cents extra for an extra tortilla, 25 cents more for an extra tortilla, he has never went back. What do you think of that? Matt Collins is the Bills player that doesn't wear shoes.
Yeah, I just think.
Are you a Chipotle guy?
Yeah, because I did tell you I'm vegetarian. So
yes, I keep forgetting. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting.
So that is something that I definitely eat pretty often. But the thing is, and actually at Howard, like we have a Chipotle like on Georgia Avenue, so it's like it's only probably like.
Georgia Bulldogs Avenue.
Yeah, they run our town, but run our street. But yeah, it's probably like a 10-15 minute walk from my dorm. Like from most other dorms, it's only like 5-10 minutes. But it's like it's somewhere to really go to. Like it's probably like the best thing to eat besides like Chick-fil-A on campus. So it's like
what's better, Chipotle? Oh, you're vegans. I was gonna say, what do you think's better than Chipotle? Chick-fil-A.
Well, I can eat at Chipotle. I can eat like at Chick-fil-A, I can eat like the mac and cheese and fries, but like I can't really.
Dang, like, yeah. So you've never had meat?
No, I've had meat. I used to have it when I was like until I was like 12, but then like when I turned a freshman, that's when I started becoming vegetarian. And my mom, she's vegetarian, so
okay.
it's kind of like she's been vegetarian for like 7 years. I've been vegetarian for like 3-4 years.
Was there anything else that we needed to talk about? Did we miss anything? I think we covered just about everything. Did we miss anything? Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I want to we don't have to see this podcast, but I want to eventually start talking a little bit I guess like basketball, like college basketball.
Oh yeah, we'll get it. Yeah, we'll get into basketball now that we're kind of getting into December here. We'll save that for next week. But yeah, happy December, everybody. December 3rd, officially 22 days away from Christmas. You guys can see the big fat guy in a red suit. Christmas movies, it's that time of year. It's officially Christmas time, so you can listen to Christmas music now. I know before it was like, is it too early for Christmas music? Is it too early? Thanksgiving, you put the tree up, you do this and you do that. I had a good Thanksgiving other than, being sick. Consumed some good food, had a good time. You had a good time, like you said, in Ohio. But yeah, guys, as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, the Inquisitive Mamba Podcast. We appreciate Bing for coming back on. I'm not 100%. My nose is very stuffy right now, but I'm doing the best I can. Got to get that medicine in me. We got the Lions and the Packers this Thursday night. But yeah, as always, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, the Inquisitive Mamba Podcast, 1,035 subscribers. Bing and I, we're putting those takes out there on TikTok, YouTube. If you don't like them, you don't like them. You can comment. I'll be make sure to comment back to you. Spotify, the Inquisitive Mamba Podcast. Apple Podcast, the Inquisitive Mamba Podcast. A great weekend of college football ahead of us this weekend with Georgia, Texas. A great weekend ahead of us with the NFL. We're into December. We're getting cold here. It's cold here down in Florida. It's like 50 degrees right now. I know it's probably colder where you're at as well. This past weekend of the games, the college football landscape of the playoff, what teams are going to make it, who's going to win the Heisman. We got a great week ahead of us. As always, guys, make sure to keep rolling, stay positive, stay motivated. Even with this cold weather, don't get sick, don't get those immune systems down. We will see you guys next time.